What's up everybody, Curtis here, and welcome back to Digibit Tech. So what we're going to be taking a look at today is making your very own glass side panel for your case. Now this is a mod that I started doing fairly early in my modding experiences. It's super easy, super simple to pick up and run with, so I figured I'd take a minute and show you all what to do. This right here is the side panel for the Ultimate 2008 build, which if you haven't seen part 1 of that, I'll put a card right up somewhere up there for you. So what I'm going to be doing is cutting out all of this grating material, this little bit of glass or plastic up here, and just making a nice big glass panel. That way we can see all of our pretty water cooling inside. Some of the stuff you're going to need is, of course, your side panels, a piece of glass, which I just went out to Lowe's and picked this up. I think it was like $5. It's super cheap. You can actually go ahead, do your measurements, and have them cut it for free at Lowe's. That's one of the reasons why I love this stuff. It's going to be much more scratch resistant than acrylic. This is not tempered glass, so be careful. One thing you want to watch out for, and you probably don't want to do this mod to a side panel, if you can take it and do a lot of flexing of the panel, because what's going to happen is once you use the silicone to lay the glass in there, if the side panel twists one good time, it can actually break this glass. This is real thin. If you do have a lot of flex in your panel, I would actually recommend going with acrylic. But in this case, we're pretty darn sturdy. So like I said, we're going to be using a silicone to, once we cut the hole in the side panel, to put this in here and adhere the glass to the metal. Now you want to pick up some pretty heavy duty stuff. This is Lexel. It's pretty elastic, goes on easy, doesn't make a massive mess. It's easy to clean up if you do make a mess. So that's why I recommend this. Also, you're going to need your basic hand tools, so like your screwdrivers, something to scratch metal with, or an awl as it's called. A set of hand files, because once we trim the panel you will need to file off some rough edges. I recommend having a straight level or just something straight, so that way if you have to do any marking you can just lay it down on there, take your Sharpie and run it across, and you have a nice even line. You're gonna need spray paint. Now I recommend going and painting the whole panel, that way it's all one uniform color. A lot of times it's super difficult to find a spray paint that matches up perfectly with a panel like this. Also, you're going to need masking tape. I'll show you a trick with this a little later on. It's going to save you a lot of headache. Some glass cleaner, that way we can go ahead, clean all the panels up. Isopropyl alcohol, the higher the alcohol content the better, just because it evaporates a little quicker. And then last but not least, you're going to need a rotary tool. Now I have a Dremel here. I'll tell you what, there is nothing better in the PC modding community than a nice Dremel. So I highly recommend you invest in a good one, because it will last you a good long while. So with the rationale out of the way, let's get the modding. Okay, so like I stated before, we're going to be using some masking tape. Now what this is actually for is to go ahead and give you some straight lines. So let me show you what I do. I just rip off a piece, and then you're going to take it, and we're actually going to use this to make our straight edge. Just like that. So now we have a nice line to go by when we're using our Dremel tool. And this is going to prevent us from making any terrible mistakes. At least we'll have a pretty steady guide. I found the tape is a little bit better than using a Sharpie, just because it's a little bolder of a color, so it's easier to keep track of. Okay, now that we're all taped off, so we have this nice line here. If you venture off the line a little bit, it's not a big deal. They actually sell some like edging that you can put around the perimeter, and it'll actually hide any kind of uneven marks in the panel itself. It's super handy. I'm not going to be using it. I want a super clean build, so I'm just going to take my time and try to do this right the first time. Now when you use a Dremel, you want to go ahead, set it to a pretty fast speed, and you want to just like walk it along like that. Just take your time, go nice and slow. You're not in a rush. Rushed mod jobs are usually pretty sloppy, especially with any kind of delicate work like cutting. You just want to go nice and slow, and you're going to end up with some pretty good results. So let's get to it. Alright, so if you take your time and make sure you do it right, at the end, you should just be able to grab it and pull out the piece that you just cut out. So look at all this space for beautiful glass. Okay, so we got the part cut out of the side panel. Keep in mind, you are going to end up with more flex because you're removing some structural material out of the middle. But now we gotta take our hand file and go around the edges and get all of the loose shavings and whatnot. If you want to cut down work, just go slow, and then you won't have as jagged of edges. So there you go. So let's get to filing. Now you want to kind of work from the edges inward like that, and then same thing on the outside, and then work straight across the edge like that, if that makes sense. Now the end result, you want to be able to take your finger and kind of run it along the edge and not get cut, not feel anything snagging. That's how you know you got a nice smooth edge. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of this panel. So everything's all painted up, and the paint's had time to 99.9% dry. It's still just a teeniest bit tacky, but I think we're still gonna be alright. So now what I'm gonna do is actually get ready to lay the glass panel in. But first, what we need to make sure of is that the outer edges of the glass is clean and free from oils that are on your hands and whatnot. In order to do this, you just hold it with one hand and just run your glass cleaner. You want to make sure you give that plenty of time to dry, which luckily this stuff dries extremely quick. So now what I need to do is I'm going to apply a very thin bead around the outside of the glass panel, and then I'm just going to take it and lay it down right on top. Just give me 1 second and I will show you. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's just a teeny little strip of silicone along the edge here. Now here comes the somewhat tricky part of laying this down, because you want to make sure you have it fairly squared up. And you can move it just a little bit while it's still wet. So if that's something you need to do, make sure you do it while it's wet. Just kind of push it down a little bit, make sure that you're getting good sealing. This is the exciting part. Now we get to see how our work turned out. Now this isn't completely dry yet, so I've got to be very, very gentle with it. I can actually see, like, just moving the panel, it's starting to separate the glass a little bit. It's been super humid the past week, so like nothing is drying in a hurry. So let me just take this, push that. Look at that. I think that turned out fantastic. So again, this mod is super easy to do. I think total this project was probably like $10 to $15. If you already have the Dremel and all of that, I mean, these things, it's pretty cheap to mod your computer case. So again, hopefully this gives you a little bit of confidence. I do challenge you to go out and attempt this. Again, just be slow, be thorough, and it'll turn out fine. That taping trick is super awesome. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit that like button. If you disliked it, hit that button down there for that as well. Also, comment down below. Let me know how you do your side panel windows and what mods you like to do to computers. And also, don't forget to hit me up on social media. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I do this content for you all. You all are super awesome. And we are already up to like 53 or 54 subscribers. And like, I did not expect to be this far along within this short a time. So I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Be sure to share this video with your friends and family. I'm starting to get rambly, so this is where I'm gonna end it. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. See ya.